Thomas Sankara, for example, when he refused to follow the French norm, he was killed within 4 years. And what did he achieve? When you're not controlled by the West, you achieve something. And the people of Burkina Faso showed that back when Sankara was the president. And within just 4 years, education literacy went from 13% to 78%. And he fixed roads, he fixed healthcare for their people. And they couldn't tolerate that. So they paid Blaise Compaoré to kill him, his own best friend. And what happened after? Everything that Sankara worked for went to the pits. Completely. And the French came back in. He had kicked out French multinationals. They came in, they took their gold, and they basically started taxing them, right? For colonization, colonial tax.
This is our third episode of the Raia Active Show. Today, I bring a very different guy. His name is Muli. And among all the people I've brought here, I can say this is the most Raia Active guy I've met. Because where we met, ilikuwa tu Moshi. Tulipatana maandamano ni aje Muli.
Freshi.
Thank you for coming, bro.
Santi, thank you for having me.
How are you feeling?
I'm great. I'm with peace.
Okay.
I'm with wellness.
Nchi nakupelekaje mtu wangu?
As usual.
As usual. You hungry like me?
I'm more than angry, actually. I'm offended. As a taxpayer, I'm offended. As a Kenyan citizen, patriotic, I'm offended.
Okay, speaking of taxpayers, you know one of the excuses I've seen them using, Gen Z hatulipi tax. No, yesterday, I was doing a small shopping in Naivas. Did a shopping of, I think, 3,200 shillings. Now, going down there to count my VAT alone is 420 shillings. God damn it.
It's crazy. And to think that now we're being gaslit, we're not paying in taxes.
I know you're being told, hakuna kazi mnafanya, you guys are just lazy. Bro.
So why do you guys think they're saying we're not paying taxes?
Because they think we are stupid. We are young, we should only be listening to what they are saying because they are older.
Generally, tax is a prerogative of KRA.
Absolutely.
So is it that people do not have jobs that KRA has to reach direct, or what is that driving government to say young people are not paying taxes?
It's not government, it's just stupid politicians in this case, who are elected not because they are fit for these seats, but because they knew, somehow they found a way to convince the people to vote for them. That's why, that's the first reason our government is failing so bad. Even the so-called president of ours, Mr. Ruto, I think we had a conversation last time with Dr. Mbiti, and we said, in as much as this guy understood our job, what is needed to be done, somehow, if he knew, because when you do the weighing, him doing the job he was elected for, fulfilling what he said he would fulfill, and not doing it, if he did, he would have done it. But now the case is fools are leading this country. And that's why we have Mr. Muli here.
But there's a really big difference between presidential campaigner Ruto and President Ruto.
Yeah.
His campaign was actually immaculate. The bottom-up manifesto was, that's exactly what should be pursued to make Kenya a different country. But now it comes to implementation and you're like, wait, you promised all of this, but you've done completely nothing. And it's gaslit Kenyans into thinking it's doing something. Yeah. Whether it comes from buying Harambee stars basically to win games, that's taxpayer money.
Do you think they actually got that money? Speaking of Harambee stars.
Well, he may give it to them, but what is it like? It's distracting us from everything else, from the corruption in the government, from basically him never doing anything for Kenyans.
Let me prophesy this. I prophesy they're only going to get, ikienda sana, they're only going to get quarter of that money they were promised.
Yeah, there'll be tears. We've
But
seen.
you guys are doubting, and the Harambee Stars Twitter account said they did their part and the president has played his part. Why are you doubting what is coming from the office?
I'm telling you, I've been observing these guys for long. Even you saw the other day, they said they were giving motorbikes. They even took guys, brought them there, did photos. And then there were videos everywhere saying tuliambiwa tutoke hapo nje ya gate, pikipiki zimeenda kufanywa registration, kufika kwa gate tukaambiwa GSU akanipata hapo akaniambia enda nyumbani. You see, all this is theatrics. And I was also talking to some other guy and he told me, this guy, and I quote, alisema, huyu msee anaaminia pake sana. And he also mentioned that since the beginning of this President Ruto's regime, which is 2022, Ruto has never had an organic crowd. It's all about PR, transporting people, buying, leasing school buses to carry people, going to address them, saying the nation has listened and all that nonsense. So, kama ataenda sana, hata kama Harambee Stars wamesema, even if the Harambee Stars account is saying they have been paid the whole amount, I'm guessing ikienda sana labda wapewe nusu. And you'll tell me, Muli.
Well, we watched him say he'll fire all his cabinet secretaries.
And
he brought them back, all of them. We watched him say the 2024 finance bill will be chalked off. He brought it back. And like this, nothing is promised to do is ever done. So, well, twice beaten, once beaten, twice shy. So now here we are.
Umse ashazo hizo vitu. But now, let me ask this. Do you think, where do you think we are right now as a country?
We are just a step away from being a failed state.
A failed state?
Yeah, in everything. If you look at the plundering that they are doing, Kenya won't have much of a standing ground anymore. We're crashing and at a very fast pace. Yeah.
And as we are right now, with all the politicians' lawlessness, do you think this is any different from if we had a coup?
You see, but they have had the politicians tell Kenyans, "Msichome Kenya, do not ban Kenya." And then I look into Kenya right now. It's a house on fire, on a furnace. Kenya is already burning.
We are on fire.
Yeah, like completely. And the only thing these young Gen Zs and millennials have been saying is, we want to see the people who set this house on fire, and we want to hold them accountable.
Yeah.
So now, instead of these people there's no difference between what is happening now and the people being overthrown, because this is exactly what happened. The people are not in power.
Same, all the same daughter. Yeah. Because when you look at, I think the only difference is that the politicians are not in military uniform.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I say there isn't much difference. The only thing that will change is maybe what they call it when you have to get home before 7.
State of emergency.
No state of emergency. They put those curfews. I don't know for what reason. I think that's the only thing that would change.
Yeah.
Ideally.
So, well, the Constitution clearly stipulates that all power belongs to the people.
Of course.
So now, looking at the whole of last year and this year, when the people actually reminded the government that all power belongs to us, I don't see where now actually we're in charge. And a state of tyranny has ensued. So we are not in power, and our power, which we handed to somebody to administer directly, as stipulated in Article 1, is now being misused and abused. And just the point of saying, hey, reminding them, I'm still the one in power here, right?
Yeah.
That alone gets you killed, abducted, and sometimes actually being told you abducted yourself. Tuoneshe malumeji feature.
Yeah, the gaslighting is crazy, bro.
Yeah.
So for Muli, when you say sovereign power belongs to the people, that's a writing on the Constitution, right?
Yeah.
How do you see it implemented by the people? The sovereign power.
Well, our sovereign power is currently being administered indirectly, right? But we should be the people that are administering this power. When we said this government, when we said Ruto must go, actually, the people spoke and they said, we do not feel comfortable with how you are utilizing our power, and we need it back. Just as the Constitution says, it shall be administered directly or indirectly. Now we need to administer ourselves directly.
How?
Well, I remember when Daguin, before June 25th, 2025, Daguin had a very clear message when they I don't know whether they abducted him or what happened.
Oh, the one with the afro hair.
Yeah, and he said in one of his messages was setting up a transitional government.
Yeah.
And well, the people can elect their own people and say, these are the people we need to lead this country for the next 90 days.
It was also the same idea, transitioning council.
Yeah, we can have a transitional council, and that is allowed for.
I think I'd also shared a few sentiments regarding that.
Yeah.
The only thing we'd have to do is find somebody of our own, who we feel is of our own interest, so that he can come, and maybe a few people among others, who we can say, even when now time for election comes, they will not join the government. Their work is in the let's say maybe 5 years, will be just to formulate whatever policies we are saying this is wrong and this is what should be done here. Their work is to straighten these ropes.
Yeah.
After then, now we can have what we call the election and have all those people we want to, in the government.
I like your perspective, but then I remember seeing a lot of, we are leaderless.
Yeah.
We are partyless. So how are you going to do that without an organized formation? I mean, this goes to either of you.
Who said we aren't organized?
We are only leaderless. And well, the only reason we saw success in these protests is because we didn't have a face. Well, if you remember back in 2023, we had a face. And that face is called Raila Odinga. Yeah. And so at some point, you remember William Ruto stood outside State House with Rigathi Gachagua in the red outfit. And he said, I'm asking my brother, Raila Odinga, to stop this and let's talk. So we had a face. And that face, do you know what he did? He went back to the government, they shook hands, and they forgot everybody that had died, and they forgot every grievance that he had during the whole time. And all he needed was to get into government. So imagine now if we had a face during the Gen Z millennials protests, these people would have just been called up, hey, we have something for you.
So you don't trust that either a Gen Z or millennial will not be bought? I mean, and looking at it that we're going to an election in 2027, even if you come up with, let's say it's even Polo, then how are we going to trust that Polo? How do we trust that you won't be bought yourself?
Listen, I had a very interesting structured laid out. A plan of, because even the Bible says it, do not put your faith in man. Okay? So I had a very interesting laid out, outlined structure that was going to ensure, in as much as there are people representing us, this structure remains constant, regardless of who is there and who isn't. And I think at some point I shared it, and I received a lot of positive feedback. It's just that kuna mahali niliteguka kidogo, where I escaped my abduction in Karen, that most people don't like me talking about it, but it really happened. So that is somewhere I songad kidogo. And basically what we were supposed to do, we are supposed to have, representatives. I call them representatives. And I realized by saying this, it's just like I'm making another government. But here's the thing. These representatives, we are going to have maybe two. I mean, they call them chairman and co-chairman, or whatever name they want to give them. But these two are going to be the face of whatever other broader organization we have down here. So these two are going to be receiving feedback from another 47 people, each from a different county. It doesn't have to be. I mean, of course, at some point I understood the majority of these people are going to be Gen Zs. So in each county we are going to have one Gen Z. Doesn't have to be a Gen Z, but somebody we see these guys with us. 47. And then these 47 counties, we're also going to have another representatives in every constituency. This was all going to start in Nairobi. Okay? So to say Nairobi has one representative, and this one representative is getting feedback from whatever number of constituents we have in Nairobi. And each constituent, I mean, the chain, I hope you understand, the chain is all going down and down and down.
So you'll have leaders?
Yes.
Okay.
So in such a way, but the most important thing is we have objectives. And in any case, somebody feels, even those two co-chairman and co-chairman, feel like they want to speak on things that are outside the parameters of what these objectives of this movement stand for. Not movement. I didn't say political party. Because by putting it as a political party, I understand that kuna mahali vichwa zitagongana, somebody will feel, I mean...
But that is semantics. Whether you call it a party or a movement, the operatives are the same.
Of course.
So...
It's just different.
Semantics.
It's just different. In a party, we have the founder, like ODM with Raila Odinga. You know, that's his own, he has built it. So that's why I said we must first start as a movement. Then, if we feel like we want to morph into a political party, we can do that. But at first, let us start as a movement, okay? Because as a movement, I mean, a movement is joined by ideologies. I mean, and it makes more sense than a political party at this particular time. So,
okay.
So after coming up with these objectives. And I know people are going to ask me where objectives were coming from. That's why we created a website called Youth for Kenya. Youth for Kenya, basically, it's a countrywide thing. All youths in Kenya are supposed to air their grievances there. Okay? So, and after that, with all this information, because obviously there's no way you're going to read 5,000 grievances. You just feed it to the artificial intelligence, okay? And by feeding it to artificial intelligence, you tell it to brief you with, like a summary of what is being brought here. That doesn't mean that we are not going to look at if these things are the same. So these grievances are what are now compiled to come up with our objectives. This is what we want. Is it healthcare? Is it corruption? Is it debt audit? Is it, arrest those who killed people, abductors, and all that?
Okay.
So all this, there was a structure, and I believe it can still work. And I don't like how we are speaking like the movement was a past. I mean, we are still here. And a lot of things we still have a lot of things to do. And in as much as they say, they said last year there was a lot of, you only had one chance. We are never going to have another protest like we had last year. Then came this year, July 25th, and it was very massive. This doesn't mean that there isn't going to be another one. They can. Wahenga say you cannot stitch the anus. You cannot prevent diarrhea by stitching the anus. Sorry for my profane language, Mr. Muli. But I hope you understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me what you think about democracy.
Personally, I've said democracy is like an illusion.
Yeah.
And the West is the biggest magician.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at majority of Western democracies, there's really no democracy in, actually, say, England, for example.
Uh-huh.
We've seen just regular people be arrested for whatever they post on the timeline.
Yeah.
That's one of the most democratic nations in the world. In fact, in high school, they told us that England is a democratic nation.
Yeah.
The United States, they say, is democratic. But then, when you look at whatever they do, there's no democracy.
There's no sign of it.
Yeah.
Speaking of democracy, I think that there was a recent kuna kesi ilikuwa inaleta moto, I think, concerning the Epstein files.
Yeah.
And you realize that all those culprits who are alleged to be in this, what was happening, it's both Democrats and Republicans. However, in as much as Democrats hate Republicans, or in as much as they condemn them, Republicans are not going to air these files where Democrats were. And Democrats were not going to release these files where Republicans were. So I'd say these guys, it's just that one is wearing blue and one is wearing red. There isn't much difference, right?
It's basically one party, but clad in two. One is an elephant and the other is a donkey.
It's pure nonsense.
Yeah, it's and if you ever look, it's a uniparty. They vote regularly on the same front. Say, for example, when they were supposed to vote for the Epstein list to be released.
Yeah.
So on that particular day, do you know what they did? They all took a trip to Israel. No, they didn't show up to Congress for work. They just went to Israel, and nobody voted to release the Epstein list. And it remains voted. And, this is somebody being accused of the most heinous crimes against humanity, sex trafficking children, to the most elite people in the world. So for some reason, yes, he was trafficking children.
Yeah.
He had an associate called Ghislaine Maxwell. And he had a private island called Little St. James Island.
Yeah.
But for some reason, he didn't have any clients. He was just trafficking kids to no one.
Speaking of that, why do you think, with all the money at your disposal and with everything, I mean, they say money is everything, right?
Well,
I think it's a statement said by people who don't have it, right? So why do you think with all that money they have to go for kids?
Well, I think power corrupts people. It's not really money. Well, okay, fine. If money is everything and it buys power, so you have the power to actually commit anything, and you can get away with it. Because Epstein was a billionaire. Well, we still don't know what he did for a living. He was basically a high school teacher.
He was a billionaire?
Yeah, he had billions at his disposal.
Damn.
I would want to interject a bit and ask, you've talked about the US not being, the people being away when they're supposed to vote. When you bring it back home, and we look at the US as the epitome of democracy and all that, then we come back home and the days our MPs are supposed to vote for something, they don't show up. Or as we hear, corruption happens and they vote in line with whatever the system wants. So from your opinion, then what system would work for, I don't know, maybe Kenya, Africa at large?
Well,
if democracy is taking us there and we can see how it's working for countries like US.
I've always said we must look at Africa from an African perspective. And this sounds like a lot of Pan-Africanism. This guy is talking a lot of things he doesn't understand. But my point has always been, you see, and when what do you call it? When Africans stop looking at the Mzungus as their teachers and start looking at their issues from their cultural and religious perspectives, this is the only way we're going to find a solution. Okay? Because when you try to integrate the white man's perspective or the white man's way of approaching things to a system, to a society that is totally different from what the white man's society is, it's catastrophe. That's why we're having a lot of stupid debates going around about abortions, homosexuality, and all this. These are not our things. The way the Mzungu approaches things is not how we are supposed to approach our things.
So what system do you advocate for?
Well, just like Polo has said, we have a system that is not ours. Our ancestors said their own ways. They had chiefdoms, they had even kingdoms, and they were ran just peacefully. And now when you talk about democracy, actually the African way was the real democracy, because they had, if it's elders, a council of elders leading a whole clan, and one specific person as the voice of all the council of elders, and he made decisions not by himself, but decisions of all the elders, and they made decisions not by themselves, but decisions of all the people in the village or the chiefdom. So we had our ways, and all we have to do basically is go back to what we knew and what we exactly used.
And I know they're going to bash you saying our elders were retrogressive, barbaric, but which society wasn't barbaric?
Well,
I mean, my point is every society evolved from its values with time as they evolved outwards. So they're going to tell you, you want us to behave like our elders. You know, our elders at one time, they didn't have hospitals. Kambas, Kales, when you became elderly, they used to throw you in the bush. Ukirudi ama ukiwa msik, ulikuwa unaachwa mzito. Ukirudi uko hai umepona. Ukikosa kurudi, you're dead. Somehow, they're going to tell you that. But my point is, our history was cut short. Okay? If we were to go back to it, it doesn't necessarily mean we have to go back to where we stopped. Because that would mean we are going backwards. It only means we borrow, extract what is ours and can be applied right now, and find a way to make it useful to us. Okay, that is me looking at Africa from an African perspective.
Well, yeah, we can go back and take now we are smarter. We've seen the Western way, and we remember the African civilizational way. Mm-hmm. So we can go back now and extract what is best. Yeah. And, well, if you said they'll come for me for saying we'll look barbaric. Yeah. Well, look at the West at the moment. Mm-hmm. Are they not barbaric? Even today, whether they say they are civilized or not.
Speaking of barbarism, I think the last person we should be following up on, we should copying, is the Mzungu. The Mzungu has done some of the most atrocious things. Somehow he has found a way to justify it and make it look honorable and make it look like it makes sense. I mean, these guys one time, they were amputating kids to teach somebody a lesson. What is that? What are we doing, bro?
Well, for example, in the Congo, King Leopold and his years of massacres and genocides, he used to cut people's hands off.
Also,
the people of Congo still have never been taught exactly what he used to do to them. Uh-huh. So these people are purely barbaric. And if you look at colonial Kenya, the British people killed close to 2 million people between 1951 and 1960, just 9 years. Uh-huh. So, and they said they're killing us so we can accept their civilization. But then I ask people, okay, fine, we weren't civilized. How are we? Have you ever been taught how you were as an African? Basically, our history was shoved aside.
Of course.
And we were given now the story the British wanted us to talk about.
We were given the African history from the British perspective.
Yes.
Not from what was actually there.
Of course. If you look, basically, I would say we had the superior civilization. We lived beautiful lives. Nobody knew about taxes before the white man got here. Uh-huh. But we still had trade.
I agree.
Nobody commercialized land, which is one of the greatest assets anyone can ever have. And who has it the most? It's the Africans.
I mean, look at our weather. You know, this weather, you can actually grow anything you want.
All year long.
Maize, potatoes, rice, ndumas, and all that. You know, when you are asked why, if Africans were clever, why didn't they find the Mzungus first? It's because we didn't need to. We had everything. I mean, like you mentioned to me, we had already started smelting iron, right?
Yeah. Well, there's a place called Kitui, and Kitui is a county in eastern Kenya. Yeah. Kitui means place of welding. Basically, Kitui means metallurgy, a place of welding. Well, they had metallurgy and they had coal. Well, you've talked about coal in Kitui, the Mui Basin.
I think we'll talk about minerals in that for that
Yeah.
case.
So they knew they knew coal existed, and they knew how to extract iron, and
Yeah.
they made arrows, they made spears. They basically had even sufurias, as you call cooking pots.
Yeah.
They had metal cooking pots back in the day before the white man ever set foot on our land.
So we didn't have any reason to go out there looking, exploring, yeah?
What for? Well, white people actually, the first thing that they wrote about Africa is we didn't see anybody that was a beggar or lacked anything. Before they got here, they knew we had everything. So they had to create problems for us and now come with solutions.
And solve them.
Yeah.
One time there was a story I had about how we all had our medicines and all that. So what the Mzungu did, and Africans, we were very much welcoming. We still are, and we welcome these people with both arms, with open arms. And what happened when Mzungus came, we started interacting with them. But and they called them explorers. But these explorers, what they did, there was one who actually I think he brought a disease. I don't know what insect he brought here. So that because when ideally Africans got sick, they used to go to a healer na watengenezea concoction, they drink, they become better. So when this certain illness came and the traditional healer, was unable to fix it, the Mzungu said, come to this side, I think I can help you solve it. Okay? And slowly, that is how our dependence on these guys started becoming, until now, like it's like they were born here first and they know how to maneuver this planet better than us. That's where our dependence started.
But so how long do we continue blaming this? This is maybe for Kenya, for instance, we are 63 years in independence. Post-independence, we're still talking the history of pre-colonial season. What has happened that we have not managed to move from that?
To understand where we're going, we must first understand where we come from.
I think we understand our history so far.
No, not properly.
No?
Our history has never been taught, actually. Our real story has never been taught. Well, today we have pharmaceuticals. But if our ancestors lived longer, and so what did they use? They used herbs. So how comes nobody in this country has ever said, you know what we should do? We should actually have a course for herbal medicine, right? Because that means everybody would have just access to medication in the forest. But now it has to be commercialized. So we're not blaming, we actually very right to be blaming the white man for everything that has been happening.
Until when?
Even right now, if you look, well, say for example, Fred Matiang'i is running for office. Where is he campaigning the most? In America. So they are still trying to get the white man to back them, to be our presidents. And whether you believe it or not, the West has been picking your leaders for a very long time. And whoever they didn't pick, they killed. And you can look at Thomas Sankara, for example, when he refused to follow the French norm, he was killed within 4 years. And what did he achieve? When you're not controlled by the West, you achieve something. And the people of Burkina Faso showed that back when Sankara was the president. And within just 4 years, education, literacy went from 13% to 78%. And he fixed roads, he fixed healthcare for their people. And they couldn't tolerate that. So they paid Blaise Compaoré to kill him, his own best friend. And what happened after? Everything that Sankara worked for went to the pits.
Scrambled.
Completely. And the French came back in. He had kicked out French multinationals. They came in, they took their gold, and they basically started taxing them, right? For colonization. Colonial tax has been happening. And the French do it so perfectly. They gave them the franc, their own currency, that the French don't even use. So how should I be using your currency that you people don't even use? You use the euro. So whether you like it or not, you are controlled by the West. And that's why There's a nationalistic movement now that's rising of true patriots. If you look now, Burkina Faso is also on the news lately. Why? They have a nationalist for president. Ibrahim Traore, Captain Ibrahim Traore. And what has he done? What did he do first? He took back their gold. He kind of secured their natural resources. And now, because he's not controlled, what has happened? He has already survived over 20 assassination attempts. So, just back to your question, we are colonized, whether you want it or not.
I think they're going to tell you you are lamenting, shut up and get to work. But this is not lamenting. This is understanding the core problem where it starts. Because, and we can talk as much as we want about getting to work, why don't you do something about it? But it doesn't stand there. We first need to unlearn what we were taught to learn. Then by understanding that, by understanding where the problem is, then we can know what to do about it. And it's not as shallow as it has been put, the Mzungu coming here. I mean, there has to be the core, epicenters for this problem.
I like your thinking, but I would want to throw back what he has raised, the issue of Traore.
Yeah.
Burkina Faso would have chosen to continue lamenting, talking, saying we have to understand. But they've gotten to a point where Traore has decided, you know what, enough of the talk, we're moving.
Of course.
So from where you sit, that's one country out of 54 nations in Africa. The 53, what next?
Not 53. There are exemptions, of course, Mauritania, Mauritius, Egypt, and all those are exceptions.
Okay, minus like 5 other countries. What next for the 50 or 49 or 47? What next?
Well, I'd like to answer you. Well, in 2024, June, Kenyan youth decided we will not keep lamenting and we'll take back our country. And it was a very nationalistic movement. Just like he said, it was a movement. It's still a movement. And it was nationalistic. It was, when you looked at the streets, it was a Kenyan flag. And that's how patriotic these people were. And they said, we want our country back. They are still on that journey to get their country back. We can fix this nation as long as whoever in that office serves the people, is a servant. And that's what they are doing at the moment.
It's not a walk in the park. You don't just wake up one day and decide to undo what has been done to you for 120 years or more.
Traore is doing it.
Well,
and we're all praising him.
Of course, it doesn't. It's not like we are on the same time zone or time frame of starting things.
Let me back your idea.
Uh-huh.
You said, when you were explaining you said we need an ideology.
Yeah.
The ideology that Traore is serving on right now was seeded years back by Sankara. He didn't seed politics of parties. He seeded ideas into people's heads. That's why they are so receptive of the ideas at the moment. So we need ideology. You don't just need people to say, I need this person to run for office because, well, he's so and so. We need people to run for office because he has this ideology that he has pursued repeatedly. We can actually see it.
Yeah, it's all about repetitively engaging in an ideology until it becomes a norm. Okay, so I'm not saying we are too far. All I'm saying is we are on the right path. And in as much as they might say we are lamenting here, complaining about colonization and doing nothing about it, there will come a time for that. Okay? Even the Bible says there is a time for harvesting and there is a time there's a time for planting and a time for harvesting. I know I say this, well, I lament the Mzungu who brought the Bible, but that's an actually sensible statement. Okay? So,
Makes sense.
So we are doing what is required of us at this particular moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to look at it from a continental perspective. When you talk about that, and around the world, we've seen President Trump issuing tariffs across, and Africa has not been left behind. In fact, one of the countries that has suffered is the leading economy in Africa, South Africa.
Yeah.
So how do you think that they are going to navigate that, just as a country, but how does that affect the rest of Africa?
I mean, for us to understand what is hitting us, we understand where the problem is. Okay? We evaluate things like the World Trade Union setting up rules for us to not be food secure. All our plants we are planting is for export, so that when they decide to hit us, they just refuse to buy our crops, and we start having less exports and the cash flow and all that problems. Okay, so when we understand that by becoming food secure, ukisema food secure, there's very little people who know what that means. Okay, it's the reason we are also getting maize from Tanzania, because somewhere, some leader somewhere, that what do you call it? The IMF, their policies they formulate to tell you, unajua ni aje, we're going to give you this loan, but there are some policies you need to change for global policies and all that. They integrate some English nonsensical terms to make you feel like you're part of something big. So when we start to understand that this is where the problem is, how can we go about it? We are not lamenting, we are discussing, we are brainstorming here. Okay? So, and by understanding that, how can we escape these tariffs? How do you think Russia is escaping those tariffs it has been given? Russia expanded a long time ago. It has connections, it has learned to rely on itself. And the first thing actually what we are going to do is relying on ourselves. But the problem there comes with our debt. Mr. Muli, what do you think our debt looks like?
Well, I think our debt is close. 12 trillion?
12 trillion.
It's at 11.2.
And that's odious. A lot of it is just, we were told, you people owe somebody this amount of money, but it cannot be accounted for.
Now let me ask you this. Do you think these Mzungu are going to allow us to have somebody of our own who's going to deal with this problem they created?
Almost impossible. And
because by eliminating it, we eliminate our reliance on them, and that cuts off their influence on our policies.
Yeah.
That, of course, benefit them. So when they tell us we have been complaining, and you're still putting up sticks, still putting sticks up our, let me not say this is a public podcast, but you understand me?
Yeah. Well, for the IMF to loan a country, they look at whether you can pay the debt, and they prefer if you cannot pay it back.
Same with banks.
Yeah, because mostly they're not targeting. It's not money they want. They want your sovereignty. They want your ability to. They want to take away your ability to control the future and destiny of your nation.
Yeah.
So they'll give you a loan, and just like you say, they'll tell you we have these policies, and there's always one policy that they pursue: destroy your sovereignty, open your borders, let immigrants come in. We don't care whether now you have a population that's unemployed, add more. We don't care whether you have a population that's illiterate, add more. Destroy your sovereignty. And the moment you destroy sovereignty and you take away the people's love for the flag, that the nation never recovers.
I don't think that is going to happen here. Now, I think since last year, June, the people's love for the flag has shoot up.
Well, yes, that happened. But also, if you look at back in March 2024, Kenya got close to 170 billion worth of debt from the IMF. And one of the conditions was the eastern border needs to be opened, and 400,000 immigrants need to be absorbed into the Kenyan population.
How does that work? Is it in favor of Somalia or what?
They don't care about Somalia, actually. They care that your sovereignty keeps dying. And at it's basically, I don't want to call it replacement, but they want an influx of different people who do not have they don't have any patriotism to the exact flag. You see, the reason why
to the cause of the country.
Yeah. The reason why I can lift the Kenyan flag in another country and carry it, because it's seeded in me. I love it.
Yeah.
But then, just like, you've watched recently, people come from Somalia and they lift the Somali flag in Kenya. And now that keeps happening. They'll give birth to citizens on this nation, loyal to Somalia, not loyal to your nation.
Yeah.
And now, at some point, they will change.
They are diluting the Kenyan patriotism.
And they are now also seeding a voting bloc that's not loyal to any ideology. Just that can be controlled easily.
Damn it. Now, let me ask you this, because I know me and you share something in common. We have been pursuing the tracks of the minerals Kenya has and how they have been getting out. And one thing that remained constant, it's this they call conservancies. And in conservancies, when you follow the trail, you realize that some of these conservancies, if not all of them, have been receiving donations in $1 million from the World Bank. What is the game there?
Well, yeah, there are a lot of conservancies. And there's some very shadier ones. One is, can I name names?
Of course, absolutely.
Lewa Conservancy.
Lewa
in Isiolo, and they are based in Isiolo. And they have, just like you've said, World Bank is one of their donors. And when you follow up a lot of Kenya's minerals, they're actually controlled by the World Bank for some reason. And basically the United Nations is so deep in Kenya's minerals. If you remember when they discovered oil in Gamia 1, UNESCO had to allow a few wells to be touched, and the rest
not to be touched.
They started talking about some ancient sites in Turkana that nobody should touch.
They also mentioned about the oil being impure. And there was also water. What is an issue? It's a little bit of an issue in Turkana. They discovered a very big aquifer in Turkana. I think it was about, should serve that county for about 100 years.
Should serve all of Kenya for 70 years. The Lotikipia aquifer.
Yeah, Lotikipia.
And then, I don't remember the name of the minister at that time. A few days later, he came back and he said, actually, the water is too salty.
Is it too salty?
Yeah, it's saline.
And then they're going to say desalinating it is expensive.
It's not very expensive to... Well, the cost of desalinating is actually worth it, because 70 years of supplying all of Kenya with enough water for irrigation for household use.
We don't even need to supply the whole of Kenya. We just need to deal with the northeastern part, Turkana and Samburu and
and southern eastern.
Yeah.
And you have like a nation fully set.
Areas that need, that's like another 140 years.
And if you look at the money they'll spend now procuring food for those regions, can still cover, if you add the corruption that they'll do inside it, it can cover desalination.
Why do you think then they're not interested in it?
Well, oil.
It's bad for business.
And there's also oil.
Yeah.
A lot of oil. Well, I remember I said you an article about there being oil close to 256 billion US dollars.
How many, what do they call these parcels? Blocks. There were 12, huh?
Yeah. And
how can we know this is a genuine research and not what they call Jabba stories?
Well, it's public information actually.
No, the water I know is public. The oil.
And the oil. Well, after Gamia 1, they did extra radar scans in Lodwar, and they discovered oil, and it was well documented. They said 256 billion US dollars, but then they said Tulos. You remember Tulos? Talo. The company that was extracting the oil in Gamia 1 said the oil cannot be extracted because they do not have the technology. Yeah.
Let me just add something to that. I'm not sure if it was 2017, but somehow within that period, Uhuru's government borrowed a loan from the Exim Bank of China of about 7 billion to do what they call a geospatial survey. It was to be done in the whole of Kenya. And now a geospatial survey, what it's supposed to do, it's supposed to capture the quantity, the quality, and the precise the geographical locations of each and every mineral that has been fed to this machine to recognize. so that they can come up with a proper list. Now, all this information has never been made public for a reason I do not understand.
They discovered close to 972 minerals in Kenya.
972.
Yeah.
This is including gemstones, right?
Yeah, gems and rubies and all rare earth minerals. There are over 972 types of minerals.
You've just mentioned, and of course, I mean, we understand some information is usually private to the government, but where are you getting the details of this?
It's public. 970.
Some part of
You just said.
Some part of it are public, but majority of what it's critical has been redacted.
They're useful. I mean, it's when you go to the mining website, they say 970. It's there, but the useful information of what was seen where. I mean, I know they cannot say that, but at least they can say the county.
Because I remember Embu being mentioned for.
Embu has coltan.
Yeah.
Do you know what they did before they told people there was coltan in Embu? They used to say it's kokoto. Ile ya kunda barabara.
And that was actually before this information was released. And they only started doing that because they realized the Chinese were taking a lot of it. Walikuwa na kama na malori. Wanawambia, you guys, we are going to pay you 2,000 bob. And we are taking away this kokoto for construction. Kumbe si kokoto. This is a primary mineral that is used to create something called, what do they call it? There are chips on your phone. And the chips that are used to power the machines that, conduct the artificial intelligence, semiconductors, that's the word. They were taking this raw material, putting it on containers and taking it to China. So you, as the primary owner of this mineral, the only thing you're going to get is expensive flat screens and cars and iPhones as the final product. Okay, so when we say Africa, we were done bad, we are not lamenting. We are trying to understand from where has the damage extended to, and what can we do about it. About the remaining part. Okay, there was also about the issue of Mlima Hill.
Yeah, Mlima Hill. Well, I think this has been said before about how Jacob Juma discovered niobium, one of the rarest.
Jacob Juma brought tallow. Tallow was the one doing
the oil in
Turkana,
but he brought Stalin, and Kotek.
Kotek. Kotek was the one doing the mineral survey in Mlima Hill.
Yeah.
I think they found $60 billion.
He said he found, is it 60 billion?
And of course, we know there's another 40 billion that has been. Yeah.
And then, there were cases. I think I've read about the case, and some of the people involved were, I think this is public also.
Yeah.
Uru, Kibaki, and Raila, and a very shady guy called Mwandime, the Taita Taveta governor at the moment.
There was also the minister for tourism at that moment. I think
Najib Balala.
Najib.
Yeah, he was named in that case.
He said Najib asked for a bribe of, I think, how much was it? 8 million.
I don't know the specifics of that, but he was too deep into it. So they discovered this mineral, and he lied to Kenyans that it was only 100 billion US dollars.
Yeah.
But then later it's discovered that it was close to 300 billion US dollars.
300 billion.
Niobium and uranium and rare earth minerals.
Jesus.
Yeah. That's how Kenya is being looted. And all time, people keep telling you, wait, we don't have all of these minerals.
Yeah.
But then it's like it's just in your face. Just recently when they were building a road in Yatike, they discovered road on the roadside, gold on the roadside.
That was gold, right?
Yeah.
It was so massive, and your story likanyangiwa chini sana.
Immediately they discovered, wait, there's actually gold here. They kicked out the people immediately, and it was...
Yeah, it was fenced, right?
Yeah, yes. Just like in Masabit too, in Hilo district.
Yeah, well...
You remember 2 Koreans got lost?
I remember there was a time Kindiki... Was it Kindiki?
Yeah, he flew there himself.
Kindiki flew there to see the situation.
Flagged by commandos.
Bro, this gold...
This gold, and That actually used to be just illegally shipped into Ethiopia, Bole International Airport, and leaves Kenya immediately.
There was actually a clash between Ethiopians and the Kenyans there.
Yeah. And that's where now the Koreans were abducted by one of the groups. The Oromo people of that region, they wanted to claim part of the gold.
They wanted to claim part of Kenya?
Yeah. They wanted part of the gold. It's basically touches in both borders.
Both borders.
Yeah.
This story is so crazy because I remember there was a time when the KDF went there and in the name of controlling the situation. And now what was happening? The KDF were started selling this gold. This, of course, it's rocks. They now started selling these rocks to this...
But it would be good to know if that is information you can substantiate.
Of course,
yes.
Of course. This is first-hand information, by the way I'm speaking.
It's also public. And the government shut down the region and instilled a 6 p.m. curfew. Said everybody should be indoors by this time. And once we've fixed the insecurity in the region, we'll open the place up and we'll give Kenyans a share of the gold.
Yeah.
It never happened. The place is still shut down at the moment.
It's all nonsense. There was a time.
So maybe you're being impatient.
No, we're not being impatient.
No,
This
because
happened.
it's still shut down.
Yeah, for a whole year.
But when it's still shut down.
Still you're being impatient
No.
until the government communicates. You cannot stand and say officially that's it.
No, but why are the KDF selling the gold to the residents, 5,000 per bag?
You have someone who has bought.
Somebody who has been asked to pay, and someone who was a person there, who has been told to pay if he wants. There was actually a war, and I think one KDF soldier was injured because this guy said, we are not doing this shit. This is our place. You cannot come here and start selling our own resources to us. And I think, I'm not sure if that's when the place was completely shut down, but there was that. Okay? So and there was also the issue of, what do you call it? The copper. Because where there's gold, there's obviously copper. But one is comes as a existence of the other. There was copper in Migori. There was copper in where else?
Even in Marsabit.
In Marsabit.
And in Kakamega.
Yeah.
Well, if you remember, in Migori, I think it's Makalda mines.
Makalda mines, yeah.
Makalda was once described as a 90-kilometer gold stretch.
There's a whole
like it's vast. There's vast gold in Makalda, and well, the Kenyan gold vein extends from the Mara River in Narok.
In Narok.
And it stretches all the way to Migori.
Yeah.
And turns again through Siaya and through Kakamega. So
speaking of Kakamega, there's somewhere called Ikolomani.
And I've actually shaded the former member of parliament for Ikolomani is Boni Kalwale.
Yeah.
He's now the senator of Kakamega. And I've shaded him regularly for ignoring the illegal gold mining in his constituency.
There's a whole cartel in these resources, national resources. And when I tell people national resources, they don't actually understand what we are talking about. National resources means if I'm in Mombasa, gold being mined from Migori is supposed to benefit me in one way or another, because this is our country. And of course, there's that structure of taxation and tax being used for development and all that. So that is basically what national resources means. And there was also an issue of, did we have gas at one point?
Well, the Changamwe refinery was...
What happened to that?
Well, part of privatization, President Moi's privatization, was that. It was also now the moment we started taking loans from the IMF. So calls were made that we start privatizing stuff. And Changamwe was privatized and kind of died. And in Boni Forest, I think there's gas and there's oil in Boni Forest. And there's also uranium, which is now very rare and very critical for basically missiles.
Speaking of uranium, I think there's also somewhere, is it Mount Kenya, where they said uranium, what are these things used to fuel uranium?
Is it chromium?
I'm not sure if it's chromium, but the final product is disposed, sindio?
Yeah.
And you make exhausted. Yeah. So I think they were exhausted. They were walikuwa naimwaga huko wanaizika.
Very close to a river. Now it flows downstream into Meru.
Bro, that's crazy.
And this now Kanza is coming in for all of those people because it's leaching basically, just like they did in northeastern Kenya. Remember?
Yeah.
During President Moi's tenure, he allowed the US to dump nuclear waste.
So these are the people we are supposed to be looking up to.
Yeah, very democratic actually.
They weren't sending us radioactive material to kill us with cancer. Jesus. There was also and the way I saw it, it's so sensitive that it has to be, they have to like build concrete tunnels and reinforce it with another concrete tunnel and another one, 3 layers actually, and then pour it there and bury it deep for close to 150 years for that radioactivity to finally wear off. But as we are just burying it.
Yeah, we just dug a hole and dumped it. Well, somebody basically pocketed the money allocated for the process.
For the right process.
Yeah.
So we can agree that in as much as we are being influenced from externally by the Mzungus, there's also so many idiots on our side that must be done with, right?
Yeah. Actually a lot of our politicians are idiots.
I agree.
If you look at them from across range, you remember when there was an influx of mercury-laden sugar in Kenya, contraband.
Yeah.
And members of parliament were supposed to vote to basically question that. And they were paid that money. You remember Babu Owino saying the place was smelling like corruption and I left immediately. They were paid to not talk about mercury in sugar. And Kenyans just kept on consuming it.
It just came to the market.
Yeah.
I think.
So, we also have massive corruption just amongst ourselves. Not just politicians, but also the citizens.
I think it has become so intense that at some point we feel like it's part of a necessity to do once you get the opportunity to do it. Huh?
Yeah. Well, now people... Basically, right now, if people raise children telling them, just make sure you get into government and loot, get into a position of power and pocket everything.
Ukiingia serikali shida zako
zimeisha completely. Umetoka block.
There's a lot of unlearning we need to do, and it has to be done. I don't think there's any other way we can survive.
That's why now your idea of seeding ideology into people's minds is so critical at the moment.
Yeah, it's very important. So there was also the issue of they said they wanted dialogue.
Yeah, they did. But then, what's there to talk about?
I mean, what's there that they don't know about?
Yeah, and are you sure we really have to talk to you? Can we talk to empty rooms? Because, well, if you look at all the murders these people did, these kids we don't actually have to talk, right? They told you, we don't want this finance bill. You passed it. They told you, stop killing us. You still did it. So what's there to talk about? Because if you're ruining our nation willingly, and if you're destroying our sovereignty willingly, and if you're also killing us for noticing,
then you're killing us.
Yeah. There's nothing to talk about, actually.
So what's the way forward?
Well,
if you don't engage in conversations, what's the way forward?
Who should we engage with? We are not going to engage the people who killed me. Well, if you actually want to have a conversation, go get Albert Ojwang, go get Boniface Kariuki, and go get Rex Masai and Denzel Omondi, Beasley Kongi, and sit down with them, ask them what they actually want, because they came to tell you what they wanted and you killed them. Now, you know what I want. I want my sovereignty back. I want good governance. I want a thriving economy. And you are not the person to do it. So we better not just talk. Because basically you've proven for 3 full years, you don't know what I want. And whether you know what I want, you've disregarded it.
I don't think there's anything much to talk about. It's not like they don't know what is there. And it's bad. If you hear them talking about dialogue, they just want to waste our time. They must be stalling when they are doing something else in the back. That's what I'm really interested in, understanding what they are cooking behind the kitchen, behind the tent. Because there's nothing to dialogue about, honestly. There's nothing to dialogue about. And I've always said that when the man of the house has failed his duty, and the children have gone to seek assistance, or they are what do you call it? When they have gone to seek the role you as the father have failed to perform in this house, and your house is now not anymore. What do you do? What do you do?
Well, they are my kids, and they are right. I step aside and let them actually lead the household.
No, you don't do that. Your kids cannot lead the household.
Well, it's something that I failed to do repeatedly, and they actually watched me fail repeatedly, and they told me, "Dad, come on, man, that's just embarrassing. What are you doing?" So at some point, I'll be, you know what? I just shut up and let these kids lead this household.
I mean, that was where I was leading to, because ideally, what happens? You're not a parent yet, are you?
No.
There comes a time when your kid, you feel like he's not listening to you anymore. Probably because he thinks you're not addressing issues the way that feels like you should be addressing them. Okay? So what you do as a parent, if you let him go and he learns his lesson and comes back to you, he has learned that is what the prodigal son did. Okay? If he doesn't come back and he comes back evolved to means that he wanted to elevate himself to, you thank God. My point is, there's nothing to discuss with Ruto. I'm afraid there's nothing we can do. There's nothing to discuss. And I think you also share the same sentiments, right?
Completely. There's nothing to talk about.
All right. I think we are going to stop at that. Thank you for coming, bro.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
Peace.
That is our third episode of Raia Active. Thank you for watching this show, and we are grateful. Keep grinding, keep pressing the gas. We are not going to relent.